So, once again, my name was Sean O'Brien from camera. Please say your name.
Marty Wallace.
And we're going to be doing 8 laps in this beautiful Ferrari 488 GTB. Sound good?
Yep.
Outstanding. As you can see, the mirrors are all set up for me. I'll watch for any other cars that are coming up behind you on the right or the left. I'll let you know when to pass any other cars on the right or left. That way you can just focus on keeping your eyes up, looking through your corners and where you want to go. And that'll really be the important one, that you're just staying ahead of the car with your vision.
Okay.
Other than that, just keep it smooth, balance, and build up the pace. Smooth with the brakes and firm, smooth with the steering and balance, and smooth with that throttle as you come off of those corners. And I'll give you those tips and pointers to help you improve. I'll go as fast as you want, man, as long as you're doing things right, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Your paddle shifts are pretty easy to use. You know how to drive a manual?
I have. I'm not very good at it.
Well, there's no clutch, and that's kind of the difficult part, right? So with these, all you got to do is when I say keep accelerating down the straightaway and upshift once, you're just going to pull back on that right paddle once, and it'll go up into the next gear. Same thing, I'm going to say, all right, apply the brakes, press those brakes, and then downshift once. And that'll be the paddle on the left. The easiest part about it is you're mostly going to be using gears 4 and 5. You're actually not using a whole lot of gears on the track. Okay. You're going to kind of be playing between those 2 gears. And I'll let you know when to upshift and when to downshift. Just listen to my call-outs when it comes to that. You cool with all that?
Yep.
Any questions?
I don't think so.
All right, let's rock and roll. Foot on the brake, upshift once. You can pull forward now, and you're going to turn over here to your right. As you pull into this pit stall, make a right down this row here. You're going to start to make a U-turn over to the left. Head on over towards that light post there. Hanging out over here on the left-hand side. You're going to go right over towards all those orange cones. We're not going to head onto track just yet. I'm going to make sure it's all clear first.
Sure.
All right, you're all good. You can head onto track now. Shift up twice. Shift up again. And one more upshift. So go ahead and start to brake to get a feel for the brake pressure. Downshift once. Now you're going to stay on the left-hand side all the way till about here. Now start turning into the right. Through your chicane, it's a quick right and a left. You want to simplify it and go straight through it. Come out a little bit wide into the right-hand side. And then you want to start to apply the brakes. Not too heavy on the brakes. You want to keep your speed up into this corner and then start turning it over towards the left-hand side of the track. As you make your way all the way over to the left-hand side of the track, now you can start to transition back over here to the right, and then start to squeeze back into the throttle as you make your way around here to the left. You want to stick to the left-hand side of the track right about here, over to your right-hand side. You want to stick to the right, and then press onto the brake. Back over here to your left-hand side, release the brake, and back onto throttle. Through the S's, and apply the brake. You want to brake and kind of stay on the right side, on the outside of this corner here, and now start turning into the left towards your apex. Good. As you accelerate, start to unwind the wheel so you end up on the right side of the track, and then put the power down. That was perfect. Shift up. Shift up. Good. Ready, brake. Harder. Good on the downshift. Eyes right. Start your turn in. Release the brake. Squeeze onto the throttle. It's got quite a long brake pedal. Come out wide right. Good. Stay wide right. Now brake here, not too hard. And you want to stay in the outer line like this. And then look for your apex. When you see it, there it is. Now turn it towards the left-hand side. This is going to set you up for a wide entry over here to the right. That way you can start to accelerate these next couple corners here. Back over to the left-hand side. Just lift off throttle. Make your way to the right. Good. Now brake. Little more on the brake and then release as you turn it in, and then back on the throttle. So a little bit early on the brake. Your pressure was actually really good though. Stay right. Brake now. Downshift once. Good. Trail off the brakes as you turn in towards your apex. Start to accelerate off of the corner as you straighten the wheel. Shift. Shift. Brake. Downshift, hold, still on brakes, turn in now, and now release brakes, and then back on throttle. Unwind the wheel so you end up on the right side, press brake, stay wide, a little more, start your turn in, look for your apex on the left, good, bring it over to the left-hand side. You're just kind of balancing, it's kind of like not full throttle, not all the way off, it's like this 80-20 thing, 80% on, turn in, back on throttle, and go, go, go. Good, hug the right, stay to the right, press the brakes, downshift, trail off those brakes, turn it in towards your apex now. Start to accelerate, unwind the wheel at the same time. How you feeling? You good?
Good.
You're doing well. Keep it up. Good. Shift. Brake. Down a gear. And release brake. Back on throttle. Start to accelerate. Brake. Good. Run the wide line. Then start your turn into the left. Remember to watch your line, not the car ahead of you. Bring it back over to the right. A little bit wide there, all good. Bring it back over to left. Shift up. To the right, keep going. Good, press brake now. Stay right, now left. Off brake, back on throttle. Good, through the S's. Shift up. And brakes. Good, start your turning now. A little tighter. Good, open up the wheel now to the right side. Start your turn in. There you go. A little bit of curbs, all good with me. Back on throttle. Unwind the wheel to the right. Good. Stay wide, stay wide, stay wide. Now turn it into your left. Good job. This is where you're catching that car for sure. Bring it back over. Good. To the right. Nice job. Start to increase your speed. Keep on it. Over to the right side. Keep going. Hug the right, press brake, stay wide, now left, good, perfect. See how much faster you can make your way into that corner if you turn in later. Pass this car on the right-hand side, please. Basically stay on your racing line, fantastic. Brake here, downshift, good. Turn it in, look for your apex now. Unwind the wheel to the right. Good. Good. Down again. Good. Look through your corner. Visualize that racing line. Let the hands follow the eyes. Brake. Look for apex. Down the straightaway. More brake. Now off brake. Don't get in the habit of braking harder as you turn in. That'll bind up the front end a little bit too much. The car won't want to turn. Brake harder earlier and then less at the end. That'll free up the front end to turn in better for you. Allow it to rotate into the corner. Got it, keep going. Brakes. A little bit early into that corner.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Don't break your concentration now. Back on throttle. Let's get back into it. Shift. Down a gear. Good. Alright, stay focused, hit your marks, look where you want to go. Let's put it all together now. Harder. Good. Now turn in, off brake, off. Good. Back on throttle. Good. Run wide. Good. Brake. Turn in, off brake, off. Turn in more. To the right. Good. Faster. Go, 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 go. Hug the right side of the track longer. Brake now. Then left. Off. Back on throttle. Nice job. Finish strong. Exit track. Straight ahead. Through the blue cones, please. Right behind the Tech Pro barriers here to your left-hand side.
It's a workout, man.
It is, isn't it? Nicely done. You've never been on a racetrack before? You've never done anything like this before?
I mean, a lot of Forza, but...
All right. So you got some sim. I mean, Forza's a little simcade. I know it gets a bad rap, but honestly, there's still some stuff in there that can... racing lines,
yeah, racing
memorization.
lines. I kind of get that idea, but...
Sure.
Never been on
fear.
it.
That's the problem with sims. Go ahead and park it in pit stall number 2, please, here to the left.
You're saying I was okay?
I am saying you were okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and pull back on both paddles at the same time. Yeah, for your first time ever being on a racetrack, that was really, really, really a good job. So I'm going to kind of change up what I usually tell people, because that was the way you approach it. I'm gonna give you some advice, because I have a feeling you might now be addicted to driving on racetracks.
Might have to do it every time we come in, you know.
So what I would do next time, and the advice that I would give you, is that when you enter the track pretty hot. You were pretty confident right off the bat, and from that point forward, you kind of limited yourself to how much information you could take in, right? Because when you're driving at speed, that's when it's kind of like, all right, I got to be real precise. Instead, I would take your first lap, if you ever do this again or drive another car or on another track, take that first lap about half the pace you feel like you're capable of.
Okay.
And then that way you can take in more information about the racing line, because you're going to get the racing line down a lot faster at a lower rate of speed than you will. Because if you start making mistakes early on, like turn 3 for instance, it's going to be really kind of hard to get that corner down. If you're kind of just trying to push really hard. But if you get it down as early as you can, and you kind of develop a good memory for it, and a good muscle memory for it, then you're going to be able to kind of stick to it as you increase your speed. You want to really kind of see that progression happen. Other than that, shifting was really good. Your brake pressure technique is you want to brake harder earlier in it. Just remember that you can't spin the car out in a straight line, right? If you're just trying to brake straight, that's when you're going to take advantage of the maximum amount of brake pressure the car is capable of. Because when you go to turn in, you're going to have one of two things happen. You're either going to overload the front end and lose the rear end under braking, because now you're turning and braking.
I did that at least once.
Or what happened more often is the brake pressure came on heavier as you turn in, and it binds up the front end, and you get that kind of understeer where you're overloading the front end, and you're asking the front end to do too much. So you can experience a loss of traction by either overloading or underloading the front or the rear end of the car. And that can really only happen if you're doing 2 inputs at the same time. That's your brake input and your steering, or your throttle and your steering, right? That's why as we accelerate, we unwind the wheel. That way we don't kick out the rear end of the car, right? Now we have traction control, and obviously to make it safe, and ABS and all that good stuff. But that's one thing where you could really improve, is getting that brake pressure all the way down, foot to the floor at the very beginning.
Okay.
And what'll end up happening is you'll realize, because what you're doing is you're braking at a certain portion of the track, and then you're just you're doing like 50% pressure, and then right at that last quarter brake zone, you apply like 80% pressure, and then it's time to turn in, and that becomes quite tricky. If you swap that and you do 80% brake pressure for the first 3 quarters of that braking zone, and then 50, 40, 20, somewhere in that range brake pressure as you turn in, 1, the car's going to respond a lot better, and 2, you're actually going to realize that, oh man, I got this car slowed down a lot faster. I can brake later.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So get the brake pressure done harder earlier on, and then you can start to drive yourself deeper into the corner, onto the brakes. But what you don't want to find yourself doing is, if you're braking harder as you're turning in, you're either braking too soft too early, or too hard too late, or you're just braking too late in general. But you don't know if you're braking too late in general unless you kind of push down harder on that brake pedal at the beginning of the braking zone. So that's how you figure out your braking zones. Your vision was really good, your shifting was really good, and your car control was really good too. So, really nice job on a lot of those things. You picked up the line really quick. That's something like, you've never done anything like this before, because racing line is something that people struggle with, and you picked it up pretty quick. So nice job.
Yeah, a lot of Forza, a lot of racing line there. So.
There you go. Well, let me give it. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, let me give you a video here. Thank you